going on, everyone? It's the Raving Wolf, the Reformation, Keegan Dimitrovic, and I'm here today with another reaction video from Adam Blampier's past fantasy bookings. And let's see what he has in store for booking Rey Mysterio's World Heavyweight Championship run back in 2006.
Generate proper, good, workable heel heat. I mean, for God's sake, they exploited Eddie's death. I'm not going to feel bad. I'm not going to feel bad. They'll do it, this company.
Let's see what Adam has in store for us.
Hello there, I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and welcome to How WWE Should Have Booked, where I look back at infamous WWE missed booking opportunities and talk about how I would book it differently because I'm a smart ass. This time around, Rey Mysterio. Now, he is the most iconic masked luchador of all time, except perhaps El Santo himself. And you know, it seems a little bit churlish to look back on his time with WWE with regrets, but I'm nothing if not a bastard. So let's look at his first World Heavyweight Championship reign. That's right, one of the biggest merch shifters in the history of the company beat Kurt Angle and Randy Orton in a triple threat match at WrestleMania 22 to finally win the big one, the ultimate underdog victory. He won the big gold belt on the grandest stage of them all, and yeah, it represented the end of a long and emotional rocket push to the top for Rey Mysterio. I mean, admittedly, it was a little bit iffy that that rocket was entirely fueled with the blood of Eddie Guerrero, but still, you know, massive triumph, right? No! Not really. What followed was a fairly miserable run, with the champion only having two successful defenses on pay-per-view, one of which being a no contest at One Night Stand against Sabu. WWE could never get over the fact that he was small, and in order to promote him as the trademark underdog, trademark champion, underdog mark, they jobbed him out to everyone. Great Khali, Kane, Mark Henry, even Rob Van Dam. He for a long time couldn't really pick up a win on SmackDown, and he was never displayed as much more than a fluke champion, which is a shame because he really did deserve more, and I can do it better.
I think you can.
First of all, do not have him lose on SmackDown for his entire run. You cannot job out your champion, because not only does it devalue him, it devalues the belt. Just stop putting him in situations where you feel like he has to lose. No BS jobbing out to the Great Khali or Kane. Look, he's a short guy, so he's always going to seem like a beatable champion. You need to counteract that with having him pull out gutsy win after gutsy win. So with that in mind, we start at WrestleMania 22, and I keep everything exactly the same. At the triple threat match, you know, the rivalry between him and Randy Orton was, fairly personal. Eddie's down there in hell. Ha ha! Awkward. So I keep that the same, and the only change I'd make is have the match go longer than 9 goddamn minutes. You know, maybe you could trim the Playboy pillow fight. Maybe. I'm just spitballing. So following WrestleMania, there are two prime candidates for Rey's first feud. One is, of course, Randy Orton, you know, because of the whole Eddie's down there in hell. It's really awkward, isn't it? He died. Like, he died in real life. Like, you're talking about an actual dead man with family who are sad that he's dead. And you just, hey, showmanship. So yeah, I would choose Randy Orton, but unfortunately, a week or so after WrestleMania, Randy Orton was suspended for unprofessional conduct. Being a dick, basically. He was suspended for 60 days, and I can't book around that, so he's out. So you go to the other guy, Kurt Angle. That's right, the guy that Rey Mysterio didn't beat for the championship. Now, this seems initially problematic because neither man are the heel in this situation, but that's not actually a bad thing, because if both men are babyfaces, if it's going to be a babyface versus babyface contest, yes, Rey Mysterio will have to cut down on the whole every day of my championship reign is a beautiful gumdrop rainbow dream, hooray! Cut that out because that's a bit tedious. Instead, the fact that babyface versus babyface means that neither man will be taking shortcuts in their matches. So they're going to be pure wrestling contests. And when he's the wrestling machine, if he's the first feud, that gives Rey Mysterio so much more believability as an actual champion. So keep the fact that in real life, Rey Mysterio successfully defended the title against Randy Orton on SmackDown. Keep that. And then have him immediately go into feud with Angle. So we're on SmackDown, and Kurt Angle wants his rematch for the belt, but Teddy Long comes out and says, "We gonna mix things up, player. Holla, 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 player, holla, player, holla." We're going to make you recompete for your #1 status against JBL. Now, Angle is annoyed by this because, he was never pinned for the belt, but, Teddy Long wants dem ratings, so we're going to have a #1 contenders match, Angle versus JBL. Angle wins, and because of the brand extension, there's not a pay-per-view coming up soon. It's hyped. Angle versus Mysterio for a few SmackDowns down the road. Hype the match. In that match, JBL interferes and costs Angle the match. Now, considering that Angle had to fight for this match, considering he had to earn his #1 contendership status, again, Angle is starting to get annoyed. He's starting to get a little bit pissed off. Angle takes that rage out on JBL. Him and Rey Mysterio team up to take on JBL and a partner of his choice a couple of weeks in a row. Eventually, Angle and Mysterio, they win the feud with JBL. And the more they work together, the more that Kurt Angle and Rey Mysterio are starting to get on each other's nerves. Tensions are starting to mount. They're starting to maybe tag each other in a little bit harder. So a rematch is made for Judgment Day, Kurt Angle versus Rey Mysterio. And for this match, outside interference is banned on pain of suspension. Because it's occasionally fine to end a match in a non-finish if it's building a story for a bigger show. Just...
Yeah.
So at Judgment Day, Rey Mysterio wins the match. Not completely convincingly, because it's the start of this feud. And also Kurt Angle's really good. He wins the match via an inside cradle, and Kurt Angle refuses to shake his hand after the match. He's so frustrated and annoyed at himself. He needs that title. So on the next SmackDown, Kurt Angle goes to Teddy Long and he says, "Look, you got to give me one more match." And Teddy says, "Sorry, back of the line, player. Holla, 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 holla." So Kurt Angle snaps. Teddy Long eats an Angle slam. Kurt Angle goes backstage and tears apart backstage because this is, in his mind, BS. He's had to jump through so many hoops, and in the end, Teddy Long has no choice but to transfer Kurt Angle off SmackDown, and he transfers him to the newly rebooted ECW, because that kind of anger management problem is welcome in the land of the extreme. So Angle then challenges Mysterio to one more match at One Night Stand 2006 to celebrate the launch of ECW. Kurt Angle versus Rey Mysterio in a last man standing match ends in a gigantic spot where Rey Mysterio and Kurt Angle both fall through a huge stack of tables from a balcony. Rey Mysterio, because he landed on top of Kurt Angle, he gets up just at 9 and he wins. He wins a convincing, violent victory over Kurt Angle's no fluky pinfalls allowed. And Kurt Angle, beaten, holds Rey Mysterio's hand in the air, points to him. This guy is the champion. So the next pay-per-view is a Great American Bash where Rey Mysterio lost a title to King Booker. No, not doing that. Instead, his opponent is JBL. Hooray! The big racist Texan. So we're going to have JBL do his whole America, get the immigrants out shtick. Not quite as blatant as going to the border and trying to taser Mexican people. But, it's viable heel heat if you scale it back. He's the worst kind of nationalist. It's the Great American Bash, American, and I've got this dirty, immigrant holding the championship. Horrible things to say. So first of all, you've got that whole America versus Mexico shtick. Second of all, you've got the fact that in 2004, JBL beat Eddie Guerrero to take the title off him at the Great American Bash. Eddie Guerrero, who is, of course, passed on, and so JBL, being his worst man in the world gimmick, can reference the fact that he beat Eddie at Great American Bash, and 2 years later he's going to do the same to this Mexican. It's a bit off color, actually, isn't it? But with the right scripting, you can generate proper, good, workable heel heat. I mean, for God's sake, they exploited Eddie's death. I'm not going to feel bad. They'll do it. This company. So also in the build-up to the match, JBL should hospitalize Chavo Guerrero again. Just ring out make him the most hateable man, so that Rey Mysterio is a beloved champion going into it. Because you are dealing with the fact that versus Kurt Angle, Rey Mysterio might get a little bit of a negative reaction. You've got to build JBL up to be Senor Bastard. So at the Great American
Yes.
Bash, just like their match at
Good point.
Judgment Day in real life, Rey Mysterio versus JBL, it's a brutal, brutal affair. Masks get ripped, faces get bloodied, but Rey Mysterio pulls out the bag and pins JBL convincingly. So SummerSlam is next, and the number one contendership is worked out in a battle royal, and the winner is King Booker, like in real life. Now, ideally, I would want Rey Mysterio to hold the title through to Survivor Series because, the length of a title reign really does add to its legitimacy. But unfortunately, Rey needed knee surgery around this time of the year, like a month or so later. So I can't really, again, book around that. So we're taking the title off him at SummerSlam a month later, which is something. King Booker versus Rey Mysterio at SummerSlam. During the match, it looks like Rey Mysterio's got the upper hand on King Booker. He's fighting well. When Chavo Guerrero returns, hooray, to help out Rey Mysterio, he hits Rey Mysterio in the head with a chair. Shock and swerve, y'all. So King Booker pins Eddie. 1, 2, 3. Chavo Guerrero has screwed Rey out of the championship. And the story from that is Guerrero got beaten up for Rey. Rey has been, coasting on the Guerrero name, it's, again, dicey stuff to go through, but it's an organic story that is just lying there on the table, story elements waiting to be used, and there is an organic feel to them. So then, at No Mercy, app name for a pay-per-view, there's a no-holds-barred match between Rey Mysterio and Chavo Guerrero, the bad blood boiling between the two men. Rey Mysterio wins this match, but Chavo Guerrero attacks him after the bell, and kayfabe breaks his leg, which allows Rey Mysterio to go off and have much-needed knee surgery. So there you go. That is how I would book the first World Heavyweight Championship reign of Rey Mysterio. There's a lot of annoying circumstances that you can't really book around, which, is annoying, but those are the realities of it. But at least in this one, first of all, you got a longer title reign, and second of all, it feels more legitimate because, he's wrestling Kurt Angle, taking Kurt Angle to the extreme and winning. And yeah, the storylines just feel a little bit more natural, and Rey Mysterio feels like a bit more of a fighting champion. Also, don't have him lose on SmackDown all the time to the Great Khali, to Kane, to Mark Henry, to RVD. Just a little thought. So that's how I book it. Do you disagree? Tell me about it in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter here. I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and I'll see you soon.
All right. I thought that booking was brilliant. Again, he said there was a lot of circumstances that you couldn't work around, like Randy being suspended, uh, and Kurt also being moved to ECW, and Ray ending up having to get knee surgery. There's a lot that you had to work around. I like the idea of really building JBL back up as the main heel because he did make a good point that if Ray was working with Kurt, the reaction would probably be split at best, especially because Kurt was a babyface around this time. So I think building JBL back up in the way he did was a smart idea, even though it would have gained a lot of heat. It would have gotten a good reaction for Ray. And I like the homage of Ray and JBL at the Great American Bash when JBL beat Eddie 2 years prior for the WWE title. And JBL tries to recreate history with that, but that ends up not happening. So I like that. Him dropping the belt to King Booker, I don't mind at all. Booker T is amazing, one of the best talents in the history of the company. I do wish, though, that Booker would have won the world title 3 years before. However, I think Booker would have been the guy to have taken the belt off Ray. Or you could have had, Ray and Benoit in a tribute, like an Eddie Guerrero tribute match where Chris can win the world heavyweight title for Eddie, and then Chris can go on maybe to feud with The Undertaker or feud with Batista after that. You could have done that too. Or you could have just done Ray and Batista in maybe like an Eddie tribute match as well, depending. But no, it was a great booking. I liked Ray and Kurt feuding because that really, really, really would have legitimized Ray's world title run to beat Kurt. I think he did 3 matches. I think he said one on SmackDown he built, and then Judgment Day, and then ECW One Night Stand. I'm all on board for that. Another thing is to yes, the Triple Threat WrestleMania 22 should have went 20 minutes. 9 minutes for a world title match at Mania, I think, is a bit of a letdown. So that is that. I do still wish they would have kept the Ray and Sabu match. I know the finish was what it was, but I thought that match was great, and it was kind of a dream match, I think, for a lot of people. So I would have liked to have seen that match still happen. Maybe do Ray and Kurt for another pay per view, or maybe on an episode of ECW, and that could have kind of got Kurt going too as the wrestling machine, but admitting that he lost, and then really becoming even more of a machine because he lost to Ray. So maybe add that too. But also, I think that One Night Stand was also fine. So let me know what you guys think. What did you think of the booking? Like, share, and subscribe to What Culture Wrestling. I'll be back more with more of these reviews. And again, just let me know what you think in the comments, and maybe we'll discuss it. Have a good day.